Alright, so we are going to create a new app in Next.js, and the way to start is first of all make sure that Node is installed. So just make sure that you go to nodejs.org. So just install your Node.js, go to nodejs.org, click on download. You'll be here, and it's going to show you how to install. For me, I'm using a MacBook, so my commands here sometimes can be specific to MacBook. All right. So I already have Node.js installed, and the latest one at the time I'm making this video is version 22.11, and this is for macOS. You can select your system here. All right, and install. Okay, there's also something called NVM. This is something that helps you to manage Node. So first of all, I want to start my project. I want to verify the Node version I have. So I have 22.90. So this is fairly okay to work with. It's fairly recent. So you download Node.js. I will advise that for you to get the exact results I got in this tutorial, that you use a Node.js version that is exactly mine or close to mine. So you can use NVM to switch, have multiple Node.js versions and switch between versions on your laptop. So this is a Node version manager on GitHub, github.com/nvm-sh/nvm. So this helps you to have multiple versions of Node, and you can switch around. So if you read through, you will see how to switch, install different versions of Node with it. And if you read down, you see how to switch. It's easy. All right, so I think we are done with the whole Node introduction. So now we are going to install we are going to create an app with our Next.js. But before I go ahead, make sure that you are in the folder that you need to be. I am in this folder. This is a custom folder that I created for my apps. This is where I dump all my software projects. So make sure that you cd into the proper folder that you want. So that's being said, let's run this npx space create next app my dash auth. So this is what we're going to call this app because it's just going to be about authentication. Hit enter. Make sure you have your internet on and you have some patience for it to run the installation. If you had any problem just running this command, if you saw any error at all, just copy it, paste on Google, and then find the solution. All right. All right. So it's asking me, okay, to proceed. I say yes. So this is creating a Next.js app that is called my auth app. Now it's going to ask me a series of questions. I will just say yes, 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 everything. So yes, 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 yes. And it's installing them. So these are the things it needs to install. But also we'll need to install several packages after this that we will be needing. All right, we're done. Like I said, this step really requires internet. So if you don't have a good internet, it's gonna break. So let's say that due to some internet issues, your installation is not able to complete. You have to delete the installation folder and start all over again. So you're going to have to run this again. But before you run it, you have to actually run this to delete the folder. This is the folder, and I'm still inside my working directory. So you run rm. This is remove recursively. That's this dash r m my auth app. This is how you actually end up deleting it. After deleting it, then you come back this way. All right. So now we're going to run the next command to install some dependencies. So we're going to first cd my auth app, okay, just to be inside the app. Then we run this command npm install mysql2 bcrypt.js prisma at prisma client shatcn ui. So the reason we're running this command is to install all the dependencies we need, especially MySQL, and Prisma will help us to run sort of migrations for the DB, and bcrypt is for that password password encryption, and decryption. So you, as usual, you also need the internet for this. So the installation is complete. Something I wanted you to observe is the shad cn UI. This is like Bootstrap for Tailwind. So if you know Tailwind, somebody went and built another abstraction layer on top of Tailwind to make it easier to use it in building inside your Next.js app. So it has been done. Remember, there's a warning here, not super important, but it's advising us to run npm audit. Now you need to know that this particular warning now might be specific to my system. So if you don't get it, it's okay. Your system might be more updated than mine. So everything is clear now. So I'm just going to do clear. And at this point, you can open this folder by running code space dot. All right, code space dot is going to give you the folder. But me, I want to start afresh. So this is my VS Code. I use VS Code for coding. Okay, so I'm just going to open the directory. If you don't have VS Code and you don't have any code editor, this is not the right tutorial for you. But you can always download VS Code. So we're going to look, I'll go to my htdocs and look for the folder we just created, which is this. Hit open, and now I have it open. Okay, so first thing we look out for is the files to connect our DB. So we need .env file so we can register our database stuff. So I'm just gonna put new file .env. Okay, so this is where we're gonna write our database code. All right. So first off, we'll drop a comment that says that location of this is .env. .env. Okay. And we can drop more comments that says replace the following with your actual database data. Okay, so now here's the actual thing we want to have here: database in capital underscore URL. So something like this. No. So underscore URL equals something like this. Yes. So I'm gonna minimize this so that you can see better. Draw this out. Okay, MySQL user. So my DB user is root. My password is root. Now I'm using MAMP. I'm using this MAMP. Okay, so if you don't have it, you can install it. Just go to Google, download MAMP, and this works only on MacBook. That's the meaning of the M there. So if you're using Windows, you have to use WAMP, W-A-M-P. That's the one you're looking for. If you're using Linux, you look for LAMP. But if you already have any other database, DBMS management system, it's okay. You don't need this. All right. So just find out what the default password is. In my own case, it's root and root. In Windows, if you're using WAMP, it's usually root with empty. The password field will be empty. Now you leave this like this. This is actually localhost. You leave this number like this. Leave this number like this. And then the name of the DB. All right. What is the database version? So I'll go to my database and create a new database. The new database is gonna be next. Let me call it my alt app. Oh, Next.js login. Hit enter, and now it's created. So that's all I need for this stage. We don't need server version. I'm just gonna delete it. Put my closing quotes. So the DB name is gonna be Next.js app. I hope that's what I named it. Next.js login. Okay, Next.js login. So save. So now this is our database connection, and that's done. So next is we need to initialize Prisma so that we can write our migrations. So to initialize Prisma, you run this command. So I'll start using this console for my command terminal. I will start using it. So here we're going to run npx Prisma init. Of course, you need some internet and then you chill. So Prisma is done. I run it and it's done and everything is fine. And remember, it's warning me of this line. Say warning, you already have a git ignore file. Make sure that you add this. So we have git ignore and we're just going to add .env. Oh, it's added. You see, .env is added. Okay, so everything here is fine. Now we are going to go and into our Prisma file. Look at it, created this Prisma folder. We'll go to schema.prisma and now we start writing our schema. So I'll close this. And before I go ahead, I want to remind you that my humble name is Dave Partner and we are this code just is being hosted on Brain Temple Tutorial TV, and that's on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube if you're not watching from YouTube and subscribe. Click the red button below, subscribe and turn on notifications as I always publish new videos. Okay, and of course, you can always reach me out on dave@gmail.com. You can email me. All right, if you need my help with something or you need me to lead your team. Okay, I think I should actually leave it here so that when you pull this code from the repo, you will have access to this information. All right, so this is where it started, and it's saying we need a database source. Okay, database source. So and then generator client. Yes, this tells Prisma how to generate um, Okay, so though this is not Postgres, here we're using MySQL. So provider MySQL and env database also. This variable here, we're fetching it here. Okay. Now we have these two going on. Now let's define the DB. So define the user model, and the user model says model user ID int email string password string, and this should be capital string. This should be capitals, and this is capital. So yeah, so it's not just an ID. You have to put an ID by default. It should auto increment, and the string. I'm just going to eliminate some fields just to make it an easy project, So we don't need name. Password. Yeah, we need password. Created that. For now, we don't need updated that. Just to make it a simple design. So string email. So the email has to be unique. So we'll do add unique. Okay, so I think we're good like this. And now the next step is for us to run the migration so that it will add it to our DB. So I'm going to come to my command line and clear. And now I run npx prisma migrate dev name init. Hit enter and chill. So the first challenge we'll get is that Prisma couldn't connect to our database because it's trying to look for it on this URL or this server. So let's look at the server where our DB is running. So as you can see, our DB is running. That's why it's saying stop. So if we click on settings, Before we click on settings, you just need to see that it's running on Apache. Click on settings. Set my these are the ports: Apache port, Nginx, MySQL port. You see, 8889. That's the port. But also we can just click a button to set it to this default. But I prefer to work with this. So if I go to my env on this port, I'll change it. Save. Okay. Now it's changed. I can now rerun that command. I'll do clear here. Now, if you are using Windows, you need to find out or any other database management system. You need to find out the port that your MySQL is running on. Okay, on Windows it should be localhost colon 8080. All right, but this one is 889. So your database is now in sync with your Prisma. Everything ran cool. It applied migration for us. This is the migration file. If we get back to our DB, we expect at least one table here. This is next login. If I click on structure as a way to refresh, I expect to see the user table. You see, the user table is here and nothing is inside. But if we click on structure, now we see the fields we created. All right, good. Just going forward, we can continue. Remember that I don't personally think that it's good to start a table name with capitals. So in your own design, just follow what I did, but in a production environment, I wouldn't think it is good to start a table with capitals. So now we are going to build authentication API routes. So if we get back here, we'll go to pages. Okay. There are no pages folder created for us. So now we have to create a pages folder. So right click, new folder, pages. And then inside pages, we're going to have API, new folder, API. And then inside API, we are going to have auth. And these ones will handle our authentication. And then inside auth, we have the first file, which is register.js. All right, so now we can write the code that will handle our registration. And it's quite a bit, but it just makes sense as we go. So this is the route that will handle our registration. So I'm going to close this. And first off, we're going to import Prisma client to interact with the database, MySQL. So in case you don't know me, I do write a whole lot of comments to make my codes easy. So Prisma client from this at Prisma client. Yes, we have imported it. And the next we have to do is this. This is how you initialize Prisma client. So we initialize Prisma client to manage DB operations. Now, but also we need to import something else. So import bcrypt. This is for password encryption and decryption. Password. So we got bcrypt for password, but what we actually need to write is import bcrypt from bcrypt.js. Yes, that's how we do. That's how we roll. Okay, so I think I will just have to add the comment. Yes. So now we've done this too. So we're going to first create a handler for registration route. So and this handler is going to accept post requests with email and password. Okay. Then finally create a new user in the DB with hashed password. So these are the things we expect to accomplish in this file. So we export default async function handler. Okay, so we get the request and the response. We'll pass it in. So first we want to check if the request method is post, and guess how to do that. If req.method is post, then we destructure email and password from request body. Yeah, email and password from the request body. Const email rec body. Okay, good. And we also continue in our journey, and we go ahead and hash the password with bcrypt. Okay, for a secure storage. So const user. So const user await prism now. Yeah, so let's call it hashed password. Hashed password await bcrypt, and yeah, this is it. And then we try to create a new user. Now we've encrypted it, so create a new user. So it's gonna be const user equal to await prisma.user.create. And then the data we want to send is actually email and password. Email, comma, password, hashed password. Okay. So those are the two things we need. And we also need to put this is one comma has to be here for the data, and this has to have this. Okay, so we continue here. Respond with success and the new user's email. So to do that, we do res status 201.json message user created successfully. That's the message, and I'll drag this on like this, and then we have to pass the email. So okay, so email user.email. All right, so we also need to catch just in case, and request should be 500 JSON, and the message should be user a method not allowed. Okay, um, method not allowed. Of course, you can also implement your own function to check if user already existed by first searching for the user on the DB. All right, so we'll move on to the next one, which is the login page. So right here, we'll still create the login page on the same page. Inside the auth, right click on the auth and login.js. So same format basically. So import Prisma and bcrypt, and guess what? I'm just gonna copy it from here. Now that makes me want to check, why do we have async, yeah, and the password should be hashed password. Yeah, is there any other thing? No, the error here, why does error have an error? Status 500 JSON, So why does error have an error? Yeah, that's because this is supposed to be message. It's supposed to use it. Now, that's not all. We also need to put an else. So here we can do an else. So if the request is not post, respond with error, method not allowed, and email already exists. I think this kind of makes sense now. And this is 405 method not allowed. It's better this way. Okay. All right. First of all, here, let's make the first cleanup by console.error this message. Okay, we're going to print it in the console in as much as we're sending it as a response, uh, just for good measure. Another thing we need to look at is here there's a mistake here. Bcrypt wasn't spelled correctly, so I'll start with where we imported it. So it's supposed to be this way, and we fix it like this. It's fixed, and that's just it. Let's continue. All right, now let's go ahead. We have to create login.js, which we already did. Now we import the two things we need to import, which is Prisma and copy. All right, copy. Where is it? Prisma and bcrypt for the password. So now we have the two of them. We have to also initialize Prisma equal to new Prisma client, and that's it. So here we will have to start with export default async function handler. Okay, so the parameters are the request and the response, and now we can start coding. So first off, if the request is post, we have to ensure that it is post request first, which is almost exactly what we did in the other one. Okay, so before we even start, I would like to give a summary of the things we need here, and it will go like this: handler for the oops, this way. Handler for the login. Secondly, accepts post requests with email and password. Okay, and then finally, check if the user exists and validate the password. So these are the things we will accomplish in this function. So let's go ahead. So we're starting with checking if the request body is post, and we extract the email if it is post. So extract email and password. So we'll do const email password equal to request body. And now we have that. We try search for a user in the database with the given email. And how do we do that? Exactly like this. Trying to minimize this. Okay, so search for a user in the email, okay? And just cross check here. Prisma.user. So we're finding a unique user with this email where email. I think it's got to be like this. You can just do it this way. This is okay like this. We just need to put a comma here. Match by email. Okay. So here we'll verify that user exists and password is correct. How do we do that? Of course, an if statement. If user and the encrypted password. So I'm just going to use compare instead of comparing the compare function. So if the user bcrypt, okay. Sometimes auto suggest can be wrong, so that's why I didn't want to use that. So here we're going to use if authentication is successful, send a success message. So we do res.status 200.json message login successful. That's the message if the login is successful. But also we have to have an email, and the email is user.email, and that's it. Else, okay, else if authentication uh, fails. So if it fails, we're gonna just send an error message and say res.status 401 in JSON format, and the error is gonna be error invalid email or password, and that's it. Invalid email or password. So here we're going to catch the error, and no need to even write comments. So res.status status 500.json error, something went wrong. So that's how we're gonna have it. But as usual, we can console.error error. So let me just add a comment and say catch any unexpected errors. All right. This basically solves the problem. Could not find the declaration file for the module bcrypt.js. We'll be back and we'll solve this. We will solve this when we import it. Okay, so now we're done with the two files. We can also do an if statement here. Remember that this is checking if the request is post. But what if it's not post? What do we do here? I can do else if the method is not post. Respond with error. So we can do res status 405.json message method not allowed, and That's it. So that concludes it for this file. Now we're going to go and create the front end components. So if we come here, we need to create a component folder. This is where we'll put HTML style stuff. You understand? So on empty space, I right click and new folder and call it components. And then inside components, we're going to create a subfolder we're going to call auth. Note the casing, okay? And then inside auth, let's create a register component. So this is the one the user will see. I'll try and use capital letter register.js. The reason is so that by just looking at the file, I don't want to confuse it with the register we have here. That's just the reason for the caps and nothing more. All right. And also this one is in capital so that I don't confuse it with this one. You see? Outside that, there's really no reason. You can name yours anything. Okay. So here we're going to import use state from React. Okay. And here are the things we expect to complete in this this. So the component for the user registration form. Okay, registration, registration, whatever. And we also want to handle form input, send data to API. We have already written the API here, and handle response, including errors. So these are the things we will accomplish here. So join me in this beautiful journey as we go ahead. Remember to inbox me. Not for programming bugs or whatever, but if you have an opportunity that I could use in your firm, okay, you can inbox me. And remember that we have I have more courses here. All right. For CTO position, of course. So let's start. First things first, we'll export our function. Export default function. The name of the function is going to be register, and we're going to close. Good. Now the first thing we need to do is set up state to hold the email and password inputs, and the state will be const block brackets email set email. So these are the two states for the email, and we're gonna say use state. We'll do the same thing for password, so we're gonna call it set password, and we're gonna call it use state. All right, for now they are both empty. You can even put your your semicolon. So now we handle form submission to register a new user, and const handle register. It's going to be an asynchronous function. Async e, oops, async e, like this, and then this. All right. So e dot prevent default. So we don't want the default action to happen when it is when the button is clicked on the form. That's why we're preventing it. So prevent default form submission. Submission. So now we can take control of what happens when the form is created. All right. So the registration data to the register API. So how do we do that? We start with const rest declare variable await fetch. Okay, what are we fetching? We are fetching a URL that says API like this. API auth register. Remember this guy here, API auth and register. Okay, API auth register, comma, yes, like this. API auth register, and now we declare the method should be a post. Okay, define the request method, and then headers. Headers. And what header are we looking at? Of course, the usual content type. Content type. We're declaring that it has to be JSON. Okay, content type application slash JSON. So specify JSON content type. So it's sending it in JSON format. And we declare the body. The body is going to be, we're sending the email and password. So the body is going to be, we're going to turn it to a string and then we send it. All right. Don't forget that this is round brackets with curly brackets. So now that is done, we have to move to the next one, which is right here. Not like this, not this, but this. Right here, const data. Let me write what we want to do here. So here we just want to pass the response from the server. That's all we want to do. So const data equal to await rest.json. And there you go. And for now, we just want to print out the message. Okay, display the response. So that's pretty much what we need to do here. Just close this off. Now it's time to start putting down the HTML. We've written the code. Now we put the HTML. So we'll return this. All right. So space in between. We'll create this form on submit form. When it is submitted, it should process the function that says handle register. And that's it. So this function, it should call this. So once this is clicked. So now we can start adding, I like to add a comment. Oops, what happened? I like to add a comment that goes like this. And the comment says input field for email. All right, like this. This is how you add the comment. Yes. So now we're going to do input email like this. So just to cross check, the type is email. We need a placeholder. Placeholder should be email. And I'll prefer to put them on separate lines so that you can see it. Separate lines. Okay. So the value is email, but then when it changes, we're going to set the target value. All right. So here I'm just going to say bind the email state. Okay. Update email state on change. So this is what we're trying to do here. So when the form changes, we update email state on change. Okay, so that's it for the email field, and we do the same thing for the password field. So to start, I'll repeat the comment and say password. Okay, And now we're ready for the password field. Input type will be password. Placeholder will be password. Value will be password. And we know that we are binding to the password state. I like to add a lot of comments, and that's why. So on change. So we'll update the password state on change. And then this is the submit button. We call it register. So, all right, everything is fine, except here where we have headers. So there has to be a comma here. That's why headers is underlined. And here we are setting password. So if you're following my tutorial and you see that I make any mistakes, just don't worry, I'll find it because the editor will tell me eventually. This is for register, right? Now we have to create for login, but I'll do something smart. I'm lazy, you know what I'm saying? As a developer, you have to be lazy. So I'll Control A to select all and then copy. I've copied this, so I'll create a login component. So it's gonna be called login. Enter and paste. So because that's login.js, right? Rename. So end it with .js. Okay. So we can then just do edits. Okay. First of all, make sure that we import useState from React, and the function is called login, and we set up the state for email and password correctly, and we handle the form submission by preventing default, and we're sending it to auth login. The method is post application.json. We're sending email and password, and the data will be in JSON. Okay, so here we might even add an error just in case there is an data.error. Okay, so then we return the form. Here we have email, then we have password, and submit button to login. So basically that's it. Now we have to integrate the component into the app. So we are going to create pages index.js. So we come here in pages here, right click on pages, index.js. As you can see, they are not on the same folder level with login and register. All right. So login and register are inside auth, but this one is directly in the root folder. So to do that, we go ahead and first of all, we want to import register. So we import register from .components folder, auth folder, and then the one that is called register. We're importing it because it was, of course, exported. So it was exported. That's why we're importing it. So we're just going to duplicate this and import login from login. Like I said, the reason why we can import register from this register is because if you go to this register, you'll see that we are exporting the function. Okay, that's why we can import it. All right, now here is what we can achieve on this function, on this file, the main page of the app. Okay, that's what it is, and it displays the register and login forms to the user. So export default function, and the name of the function is home. And we're just going to spit out the HTML for the home. I want to be able to display errors. So if I go back to login.js at the very bottom of it, here, I want to be able to display. I want to be able to do something like this: message and uh, message. And what this does is it displays errors. So like this, like this, like this. Display success or error message. All right. So let's go ahead to pages auth register. So which we already done here. We're just going to embed registration and login pages. So on pages, we'll right click and create a folder we call auth. It's just going to contain one line, auth. And then inside that, we're going to create a register.js, and we're going to create a login.js. Okay, so once we create this, everything will suddenly make sense to you. So we're going to import register from the same place, components, auth, register. So we import login that same way. And now we can do our magic. So export. So if I export default function register page. So this is just a static page that renders register function. So we're just gonna do it like this, and just the div, just put a div, and we'll put a h1. The h1 will say register. That's the title of the page, and then in the body we'll do something interesting. We'll render register. That's all we'll have to do on this page. So, but I would like to put a comment that explains what we're doing, and that says embed the register component. Okay, so it's important that it's in capitals. So that's just it for this page. But just to go ahead, I would like to add this comment. Okay, renders the register component where users can register. Not important. Component, that's all. So the login page is going to be identical. So which means I'll just copy this, remove this, just make sure it's register. I'll copy it to the login. Wait, this is the login file. Oh, I'll just paste the register here to the login file. I'll call this login, and everything is good until here. And here is login. Embed the login component, okay? And last but not the least, we're gonna call this login page. So I think everything is done. Let's see whether our work worked. So here we're gonna do nps clear. We're gonna do npm run dev and see. All right, so you can see here that if you look here, You see that the server has started, and I'm using Next.js 15, of course, but it started at localhost 3000. Just copy the link and go to your browser and type it, and then you wait. The first time it's loading, it will take longer to load, but once it loads the first time, the subsequent loadings will be easy. So first thing you notice is that on the default page, we did not put any URL for home page, so we're stuck here. But we know where the pages we designed are. It's in auth register. So if we go to auth register, we're gonna see the registration page. So it says module not found. Because of an error, there's a bug where I said here instead of components should be components. Okay, so you can even see the error in my terminal. I just saved it. My terminal will rerun itself and retry by itself. I don't have to do anything, so I'll wait a few seconds. So after fixing the bug, we still have the issue because we're not linking to the file correctly. So here I'm going to do this. So we're in this file in pages auth login. So we need to link to the file correctly. So same thing with this place, dot this, and now we've linked. And you see, once you link correctly, it's gonna give you these IntelliSense suggestions, and you see 200. Okay, now our page is loading. Boom, our page is there. So okay, cannot read properties of null. So the solution is to come here in auth and register, and we want to extend this just a little so that we can pass a message. So I'm gonna call it message. Okay, so that's just all we need to do here, and then the set message. Use it set message. For now it's empty, but somewhere in between here we can now handle the message. We can do if res.ok, if res. Okay, so if there is no error, we can do set message data dot message, and then what if not? Else we can then do set message data dot error, or we display registration failed, and then we catch. So now we can actually catch the error. Okay, so here I actually want to have a comma here, and right here, instead of just doing alert message, we can extend it to simply say catch catch error, and the error we're catching is set message. Okay, we can do error dot message, something like that. Oops. Or we can just put the actual string and say an error occurred. Please try again. And that works. Console.error registration failed, then error. So I think this should handle it. Now the only challenge now is we need to this bracket, we need to close it. So since we are catching, we have to try. So we try here. So that's just it. Everything is okay now. I think now we can try the website again. It works now. Okay, so all we just need to add is chat CN UI, or just maybe tailwind. But everything works now. Do the same thing for login. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.